Now the HOSA Club, excuse me. Yes.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, right, the debate, I'm sorry. HOSA will cross-examine.
Are you aware that according to the CDC, it is medically riskier to anesthetize an obese person and that they are more liable to injury?
Yes.
Do you think physicians are doing harm to patients by performing procedures which their bodies cannot take and therefore setting them up for more consequences later on?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you think physicians are doing harm to patients by performing procedures which their bodies cannot take and therefore setting them up for more consequences later on? Are you aware that according to the CDC, patients who smoke cigarettes consume more health resources than non-smokers?
Yes.
Do you believe that it is the role of doctors to determine the best course of treatment for the patients?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, HOSA will now commence their affirmative rebuttal.
According to the New York Times, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans ruled that doctors can refuse to treat violent or intransigent patients, meaning patients who refuse to agree or compromise as long as they give proper notice so that the patient can find alternative care. Caring for patients when they continue to engage in poor health choices is extremely challenging and may not be beneficial. In the United States alone, 42.1 million people aged 18 or older smoke. Of those, approximately 443,000 Americans die every year due to tobacco use. This costs the nation about $193 billion in medical care and lost productivity. According to the CDC, in one study of 202 total hip and knee arthroplasties, patients who smoked cigarettes had longer surgical and anesthetic times and consumed more health resources. This is why physicians should use proper reasoning to determine whether or not a patient should receive non-emergency treatment when they continuously make poor health choices.
Now the debate club, I have this club here, will give the negative rebuttal.
Though a well-prepared argument, the affirmative side's rebuttal failed to address certain aspects of our argument, such as contentions about how low-income families who cannot afford private health care will have nowhere to go after they are refused by medical practitioners. Though the Affordable Care Act provides free health care for some, there are still gaps in 23 states that chose not to expand their Medicaid program coverage. This presents a problem for people stuck in their current socioeconomic status, which is supported by the fact that the median wealth of low-income families has decreased by 45% since 2005, which we stated earlier. These individuals are cornered when doctors in public hospitals withhold treatment. Withholding treatment can also consequently cause a snowball effect of patients having undetected and untreated health issues. Hospitals are required to provide emergency care regardless of the patient's health choices according to the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act. It's clear that a refusal of care puts patients' life at risk at times when preventative treatment could have been avoided. When preventative treatment could have avoided a costly emergency procedure. Health services in the United States, including Medicare, Medicaid, and other public health services, are supported by 25% of the taxpayers' dollar. So taxpayers, again, without consideration for their lifestyle, are being billed for medical treatments. Refusing medical treatment doesn't make a person's unhealthy habits disappear, because it will take more than an incentive to change one's way of life. When patients are seen as a liability and thus turned away, there's a price being placed on their lives. As the affirmative side mentioned earlier, that money was lost on the productivity of people who smoke. Productivity was lost. People who smoke cigarettes, and they're therefore seen as possibly a liability and turned away. And by doing that, the price is being placed on their lives. Doctors should be able to advise improvement for the patient's well-being, but a refusal of treatment arising from social stigma is not dissimilar to the discrimination that Americans combat every day. A right to well-being is rooted in an extensive history of American desire for freedom and equality. Thus, the immorality of refusing treatment of patients and the adverse effects of this refusal on low-income families is transparent. And so doctors should not be able to refuse non-urgent health care to patients making poor health choices. But let me remind you that at the end of the day, this debate is about more than the refusal of treatment. It's about the undeniable right to life and equality that doctors are expected to uphold. Thank you.
Now there'll be the final affirmative rebuttal from HOSA.
We believe as a medical organization that doctors should be able to deny non-emergency care to individuals who make poor health choices for the patient's own well-being. Operating on those who engage in unhealthy choices, such as maintaining a poor diet or smoking habits, poses a risk to their recovery and an overall disadvantage to their betterment over a period of time. We encourage the idea that doctors consider all aspects of medical procedures before allowing patients to undergo treatment. Therefore, doctors have the ethical responsibility of anticipating patient outcome, in which employs logical reasoning from a moral standpoint when deciding if partaking in treatment is the best option for a patient who lives an unhealthy lifestyle. As a final rebuttal to the debate club, we would like to emphasize that situations beyond the patient's control, such as living in a low-income environment or being subject to environmental factors that adversely affect the patient's health, do not constitute poor lifestyle choices, because it is beyond the patient's control. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. The debate club would like to thank Ms. Nort, their advisor, and HOSA would like to thank Ms. Vogt, their advisor. It will be, while they tally the scores for each of the teams, we'll just take a few moments.